Welcome, everyone. Leanne here with Sacred Wild Woman. Our topic this week is about so you've had a spiritual awakening, what's next? And so I see more people that are coming forward and sharing their personal experiences with me about their journey, their spiritual awakening. And they often say to me, Leanne, I do not know what to do, where to go from here. So, in this segment, I'm going to share with you what a spiritual awakening is, what causes one, and some ways to continue during your process and after your experience. And I'm going to share a little bit about my own journey. And mine was one of a painful one, and it was a very long span of a spiritual awakening. It started off with physical ailments with my stomach, and I was also getting sober for the first time, well, for the fifth time. And I, I struggled with alcohol and drugs, and I struggled with depression. And so for me, it was very intertwined with my spiritual awakening, and my body was telling me that something was going on, that a shift was happening, and that was it was showing up in my physical body, and my mind was shifting. What I once believed, what I once ate, what I once believed in, my belief system, this whole divine universe and this God of my understanding all completely shifted and came to a head. And it was very painful. It was a very painful experience in the sense that I knew what I was doing was not working for me. And the painful part was that I had to change everything. And I didn't know how I was going to do that. And it was all the way down to changing the friends that I had, to the way I ate, to my practices and my spiritual belief. There were so many changes that I just didn't know how I was going to do it. And I'll share with all of you some of the ways that I did it, but also some other ways that you might want to consider. So we're going to start with a spiritual experience. A spiritual experience varies from person to person. It's very different for many people. For some, it's continued over time, like mine was. It took a long time, and others experience a temporary spark of an experience. But in the moment, in that moment, the whole sense of self melts. The way that your world was perceived changes unexpectedly, and you may find that a sense of separation between you and the rest of the world. It's like waking up from a dream you didn't even know you were in. It's like being shoved out of it. And a spiritual awakening is a rebirth of your soul, an awakening. And it can be sometimes easy and sometimes awesome. And you can see things with your eyes in a very different way. It's like it reveals your ego patterns and connects us to a profound way which is bigger than you. However we may call it, it's God, the universe, source, life force. It lifts us out of our everyday monotony and shows us a bigger picture, one which we are part of and with which we are interconnected to. So another way of a spiritual awakening is a call to your higher self, your higher consciousness, a deeper mental awakening. And it's a spiritual, it brings in transformation and the way that you see the world. It shifts your worldview. And when you go through a spiritual awakening, your mental frame completely changes. Sometimes it can be, like I said, really painful and uncomfortable. And sometimes it isn't always filled with sunshine and rainbows, but it is so essential to your soul's true journey. So, what causes a spiritual awakening? Well, a lot of things can cause a spiritual awakening. Rain may fall. Major life changes. For others, it's a slow and subtle one. So, here are some common ways or common catalysts for a spiritual awakening. A traumatic experience, a profound impact on your physical or emotional well-being, like my physical body hurting, right, for a long period of time. Another example would be suffering from abuse or surviving a serious traumatic accident. Another one would be big life change events, like your whole life changes, a divorce, a death of a loved one, a serious illness like cancer. That is considered a life-changing event, or an existential crisis. We call that the dark night of the soul. And it's during this time you start to begin to question the meaning and the purpose of your life. It's accompanied by sometimes depression or alcoholism or addiction. It's a life-changing experience, but it's not always the case. Another one would be a near-death experience. This is pretty self-explanatory. And most people report that they connect and they contact beings from the other side, and they experience such a profound transformational way of looking things that it changes them forever. Then you have the natural experience, and that's like a voluntary one. It's where you start to shift your consciousness of awareness and you start to practice and activate a greater consciousness of awareness, like through meditating and mindfulness and developing a deep sense of connection with caring for the plants or animals or shamanism or self-transformational practices or self-awareness, self-development. Immediately after awakening, you need to make space, and it's important to assess where you are in your life. Some people wake up in a situation where they can be a hot mess, which I was for 3 to 5 years, where they have a sense of urgency to do something. So here are some ways to help you during and after your experience. Start to build a spiritual practice, prayer, meditation, build an altar, join communities that fill your spirit, healing modalities like Reiki, shamanism, kinesiology, acupuncture, Reiki, movement, dancing, spending time in nature, decluttering people, places, and things that do not nurture your journey, creating space in your calendar, creating a long alone time, a salt and herb bath, Dead Sea salt or Epsom salt, and jumping into the water for grounding. So, I hope you found this video informative and helpful, and I look forward to hearing your comments below. If you want to add on to this video, please comment below. And if you have more questions about a spiritual awakening, please feel free to reach out to me in my DM. So signing out, Sacred Wild Woman. Bye for now.